And also, the last point here is to remind learners of why topics matter to them. It's very important for adults. What do I care? Why are you telling me this? What is this going to do for me? We need to know that, right? Somebody taught us in the second grade that we had to learn, what, 42 plus 42 equals 84. We had to do it, and that was it. And then we got a worksheet where we had to do it 40,000 times, whether we had learned it the first time or not, right? We're done with that. Tell me why I'm learning this. Tell me why it's important to me. Otherwise, it's very difficult to develop interest. And if you don't develop interest, you're influencing, again, all of those conditions for learning. We need to know why it is that we're doing something. Who cares? What's in it for me? How does this relate to what I already know? And can I try this myself now? Okay, those are important questions to develop interest in the learning experience. Whether or not you can try this yourself also has other implications. For one thing, we want to know how confident we feel with that content. We'd like to test ourselves. Now, how well do I know this myself? Let's see, if I were going to do it, how would I do it? And we like to be given that experience in the learning situation so that we can be evaluated. And why not? So that we can be praised too. We like that. We like to be rewarded for our efforts. It's also a very important concept. Does learner involvement matter? Yes, absolutely. Because of all those percentages you see there on the transparency, the most important one is the first one that tells you that if you only read something, so, and this changes primarily with the level of complexity of the content. The more complex the matter is, the less you remember of it. And this is just a week later. Only 10% of you will remember what you read here. And only 20% of you will remember what you heard. And that scares me. But then again, you do have these sheets that will help you review if you need to do that. Okay? And you'll also have other supporting materials and your experience to help you with it. But in terms of whether or not people can actually be changed by their level of involvement in a learning situation, these are very true and proved. Also, to go from the interest that you get from people to developing commitment to learning, other questions that are important in these icons here relate to the fact that it doesn't matter what your occupational level is. It doesn't matter what your profession is. Everybody needs to know that when they're being trained for something or when they're being educated for something, especially if it hasn't been their choice to go through the educational experience. And I don't know how many of your organizations actually require people to go through things without much explanation about why they need to do it. It's probably in their career path, it's probably in their development path at work, or it's part of their requirements, or it's part of their updating knowledge efforts in continuing education or certification, but it's really not their choice to have done it. More important yet, then, to make sure that these questions are answered for these adults. What will this prepare me to do? How am I doing? And what's next? The what am I doing part we're going to address later on when we talk about feedback, okay? Kinds of feedback that people need also.